Welcome this evening to the Planning Commission. The date is Monday, January 23rd. Will everyone please rise for Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Next item on tonight's agenda is the approval for tonight's agenda. Any changes or any additions or subtractions or anything we need to make? Not entertain a motion?
I'll move approval of the agenda.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next item is the approval for the minutes for the January 9th, 2017 meeting. Are there any changes that need to take place? Not seeing any? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We have a relatively light agenda tonight. We do not have any public hearings. Actually, we have one public hearing, I'm sorry. It is a code amendment, building height definition. The request is to amend the City Code Chapter 11 relating to the building height definition. And Julie, I'm assuming you'll be leading that discussion?
I am.
All right, very good.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, as stated, staff is proposing that the definition for building height be modified in the zoning ordinance. It's come to staff's attention that the definition in the zoning ordinance for building height and the definition in the building code for building height are different, and there are some inconsistencies between the two. So staff has spent some time with the building official as well as the city attorney to provide for a revised definition that allows for more consistency between the two. Also, it provides the draft language staff feels provides for a more user-friendly, easier to understand definition, so that when our residents come in that might be adding on to a building or constructing an accessory structure, that it is much more easier for them to understand how to calculate building height and how that definition is applied. So staff is recommending some changes to the definition of building height. In your memo, there is on page 2, there is a strike through and underlined version of the language. Essentially what staff is proposing is that rather than having the reference data measured from two alternative points on site, that an average of the overall grade plane is used in order to calculate building height consistent with the terminology in the building code. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to address them.
Commissioners, does anyone have any questions for city staff?
Just one quick one.
Please.
Prior to the inconsistency that was found, was there one set of language that was more restrictive than the other?
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, when you compare in practice the building height as defined by the zoning ordinance versus as defined by the building code, you will get a much taller building when you use the current zoning ordinance definition. So we've taken a look at a couple of examples, and it can range about 2 feet. 2 to 3 feet is on average what we've found. So because of the reference datums that were used, you'll get to a taller height sooner with the zoning ordinance. Another issue that we identified was architects and people that are preparing plans tend to use the building code definition because, of course, that's uniform throughout all communities, rather than taking a look at what each individual community identifies in their zoning ordinance. So we'd have to reach back to those folks that are preparing the plans and ask them to recalculate that number based on our zoning ordinance definition. So this should streamline that process a bit for them as well.
So for those that are already in the system, they will have to amend their plans?
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, by in the system, do you mean under current plan review?
Under current plan review, yes.
So based on the process that the text amendment is going through, Planning Commission will review it. It'll move forward to Council, so it would not become effective until and unless Council approves it, and then it gets published. So if we've got some plans that are in-house right now, we're working with the current regulations, and we wouldn't apply the new until it is effective.
Given we just had a legal non-conforming conversation, has there been any internal staff discussion as to which areas of the city may be legal non-conforming under the new ordinance changes by that delta of 2 feet that you said?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, due to the fact that our analysis shows that the zoning ordinance height tends to reach that height requirement faster, or sooner, I should say, not faster, it's not as speedy. Once it reaches that height sooner, we would not be looking at creating more nonconformities. Generally speaking, with this language, we'd be more allowing more buildings to be conforming. Okay?
I'm still a little confused. Is there certain areas of the city that would possibly be geographically non-conforming? I mean, they're not going to change the roof line and their pitch, but is there areas, depending upon the demand of the consumer base, that like
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, I wouldn't say that there is any specific geographic location. Of course, height restrictions are based on zoning districts, so of course your commercial districts are going to have a different building height requirement than your industrial districts, but the change in the building height definition should be universally applied and not necessarily reflective of a geographical location, because we're going to see those building heights vary throughout those zoning districts.
Does that answer your question?
Yep.
Okay. Any other concerns from other commissioners? Okay. Not seeing any. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Mr. Chairman, move to recommend approval to amend City Code Chapter 11 related to building height definition based on the information included in the staff report dated January 19th, 2017.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you very much. Julie, moving on to planners' reports for this evening.
Nothing, sir.
Are there any members' reports for tonight? Any continuing new business?
I have a question that may be under new business.
Yes, sir.
The state of the state is tonight, probably going on as we speak. Is there any way that the public and our viewing fan base can watch the State of the City address? And how would that, or maybe read the dictation?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, that's certainly something I can check on. I don't know the answer to that right off the top of my head. I know that there are several presentations of the State of the City address at various locations. Whether that is shared via our website or not, I don't know. I can certainly check with communications in the city manager's office.
Thank you.
Okay. It's nice to have everybody here tonight, by the way, as a parting note. With that being said, there is no more new business. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Dinner.